Important conversation, which is insurance. Now, Nigeria's insurance sector is undergoing a massive regulator-driven capital overhaul amid strengthening and improving industry solvency and boosting capacity to retain larger risks, with a major compliance deadline set for July 2026. Now, according to the Commissioner for Insurance in the National Insurance Commission, Mr. Olusegun Omosheyin, recapitalization will improve the industry's regional competitiveness, especially under the African Commercial Fair Trade Area. He also said, and I quote, "Recapitalization is the passport to that future." Now, joining us for this conversation is Head Technical International Energy Insurance, Kolade Adeniran. Good morning, Mr. Kolade. How are you doing? You have the surname of our producer here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? How's it going?
Thanks for having me.
All right, but I want to start first with this question because a lot of Nigerians do not believe in insurance, and I'll tell you why. Because they'll tell you that sometimes when something even happens to them, the insurance company does not even have enough money to finance it. And contrary to other countries, we know how insurance works. Like, a lot of people insure so many things because they know that if anything happens, these insurance company will cover it. But why is it always, when it comes to Nigeria, there's always a bottleneck, there's always something? Most insurance company that we have, I'm not going to mention their names, but I know a few that, if anything happens to either your car, your house, they do not even have the capital to take care, of it. So a lot of Nigerians have said, what, as for insurance, we're not going to do insurance again. What is the main, I want us to start with, what is the main problem with that?
Okay, thank you very much for that question, and I think it's very insightful. That has been historic, and I will admit that we've had a number of companies, over time that have not fulfilled promises, but I think a lot of that have changed in recent times, I must tell you. And that's part of what we are discussing, and is a part of the body of this NIRA, Nigerian Insurance Reform Act. Yeah. Part of what it has done, a core part of it is consumer protection. Because, of course, the industry has found out that this is the problem, as you have mentioned. And so they've tried to come up with a lot of things. And embedded in that act is a lot of things to protect the consumers, as it were. Yeah. Including, for example, we have an insurance ombudsman that will be clearly and displayed on your policies that you can report. Before now, people feel they can't do anything, when they're in such situations. But you can report even up to, the regulator, NICOM, that you mentioned. We also have part of the policies that a time frame for insurance companies to settle claims, genuine claims, is now 60 days. It's in NIRA. So from the day you notify, we start counting. If it's beyond 60, we stand to face regulatory, discipline. So a lot of those things are coming up. And one of the things we also do is to make sure that we explain the policies too, because where we have issues mostly is in terms and conditions. People do things and, we now tell them, unfortunately, it is at the time of claim that they get to hear about it. So what's NIRA, what the industry is doing is, at the time you are taking out the policy, we must explain to you, including giving you a page summary. Sometimes people can't go through, a lot of the documents. So we give you a page summary of what it is that you are buying and what we will cover, what we will not cover. And then you have to sign it off that you understand is in English. So I think the industry is trying to work and better that situation.
It's good that the industry is doing what you have just described, especially the terms and conditions. It has messed a lot of people up. For a lack of a better phrase to use. So many people have been rudely shocked, to realize that, look, so what I'm expecting, I'm not going to have. Now, let's look at the recapitalization. What will it do for the average Nigerian? And I also want to ask you another one, but let's take this one first.
Okay, thank you. So recapitalization, the whole thing, and that's what NIRA is embodied about, as I said, is the Reform Act. So it's essentially for some things to build, stronger recapitalized insurance companies, to make them resilient, and essentially to be able to meet, customers' claims, because over time, and that's why we need to recapitalize, when you have a capital base, for example, and we take on risk, and at a point when your risk is now beyond your capital base, you know that when there is a loss, that company will not be able to pay it, and that's how simple it is. So what NIRA has done is to make sure that companies recapitalize such that they will have enough capacity to take on risk, and then all those claims will not be an issue for us, to pay when the time comes. And so that's why we're recapitalizing.
So as they would say, talking about the recapitalization, we know that large insurers already benefit from stronger balance sheets. And the issue there is we know that you're also attracting client nervous about, smaller undercapitalized players, particularly ahead of the 31st of July 2026 deadline. My question for you is, from your perspective, how do you think prioritizing large capitalized firms help protect policyholders and the financial system? And can this be justified in market where insurance penetration remains very low, as she started off with you, talking about the insurance penetration?
Yeah, so thank you. So the essence of recapitalization is broad-based. Where we have a minimum capital base. For life companies is 10 billion, for non-life 15 billion, and for reinsurance company 35 billion. Now that is minimum capital. What a lot of companies, and including my firm, International Energy Insurance, is looking beyond the minimum capital, because we are moving from this minimum capital to what we call risk-based capital. And risk-based capital is such that it will only be big players, like you said, that when there's a risk on the table, the regulator is looking at your capital base and is saying, no, you can't do this. You can't do this because your capital base cannot, take it. So we are getting to that point. Yes, everybody will be able to play smaller because, of course, we are looking at micro insurance, such that small, medium enterprises are also part of it. But we also have those big and those corporates. So by the time in July, everybody recapitalizes, everybody will form, their strata. But where the industry is going, where it is moving, is risk-based capital, whereby people will, for example, instead of 15 billion, my company is looking at 22.5 billion, such that, we will have more capacity to do a lot more. So I think that will, solve what you're saying.
But I want to talk about the root of the problem, okay? So, like I said earlier on, I'm not going to mention a name, but I'm sure people are going to know what I'm talking about. There was one really big insurance company. They were really, really big and strong. They started so strong. And right about now, I can say that they liquidated, not mentioning any name. What is the reason for that happening? Because yes, when things like this happen, we now talk about recapitalization, but we need to focus on the roots. Because imagine, having that, they're strong again. What are the mistakes that they made that they will not go back to how they were before? Because this was an insurance company that a lot of people were trooping in. But what happened that they could not hold their fort? And for my first question again, I need you to still answer that for me, because we need to make Nigerians believe in insurance again, because they do not. A lot of Nigerians do. I have friends that will tell you that, Ria, I'm not insuring my car. But we know how important it is to make sure that your things are insured. So please, I need the two questions answered properly. The first one, when we recapitalize, how do we make sure that we sustain it? Not that an insurance is now doing well, later they go back to how they were before.
Thank you very much. And as I said, and you are very right, one of the core elements or makeup of NIRA is governance. One of the problems that we've had is poor governance structures in companies, that you said they folded. So one of the things that NIRA is ensuring is self-compliance, regulatory compliance, and then enforcement. So over time, and of course we have it documented, a lot of these companies are not well governed. You see boards doing this, you see management doing this. So what NIRA is doing, and you have to be reporting. Somebody is always checking. NICOM is always checking. So I think that will stop, what, you're talking about, because at every time somebody is looking at what you're doing. We have a lot of corporate governance, board governance. There's always interaction between NICOM and the board. It's not just the management now, and the MDs and all of that. So, and that is on that. So, and for this kind of thing that you mean to assuage people, and I think that's why NICOM is very big and is a major part of NIRA. Is consumer protection. As I said, so many things are skewed towards the consumer. If, for example, we violate that 60-day thing, we get a penalty. If there is anybody reports any insurance company, for example, to NICOM, and they have to resolve it, you will first pay, the claim, and then you still pay a penalty. So and all of this, I think, is trying to make sure that we regain public trust.
But for me, regaining public trust, I don't think it's about talk. I think it's about implementing. I think it's about for people to see that, okay, yes, this thing is working out. Because anybody can come out and say anything, but, are you going to put it, are you going to implement it?
Oh, definitely, and you will see from the way the interactions have been going on around, in the intro you talked about what the commissioner was saying.
Yeah.
So, and as a practitioner, I know that it is not play.
Yeah.
As they say, we are not playing.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of things have been put in place to monitor. As I said, the regulator does spot checks.
Okay.
They just come to your companies, they want to see your records. In fact, we check claims, we submit reports on a monthly basis. Claims outstanding, they look at when did you get this claim, when did you settle. They want to know everything now. So everybody's on their toes. It's about regulatory compliance. A lot of us, do self-compliance, but because we are looking at the regulation and we don't want to run foul. We don't want to run foul again because bots are not smiling about penalties.
Yeah.
If you get a penalty now in any company, is a minus. So everybody's on their toes, and I'm sure with all of this, it's going to solve a lot of problems.
One thing I can tell you is that no company, insurance, bank, whatever company wants a minus. Yes. Everybody frowns
because it features in your annual report. And
yes,
all of that.
I'm so happy that insurance companies in Nigeria are taking regulatory services very, very, very seriously. I am one of those that believe that one of the major problems we have in corporate Nigeria is regulation. And you talking about it so well, it gives me a little bit of confidence. Another thing that should give us confidence is education, mass education of the insuring public. How far has the insurance community gone with that? I don't think much has been done.
Well, absolutely. I may want to agree with you, but I know that a lot is being done. A lot is being done from the regulatory perspective, from the insurance space itself. We have the Chartered Insurance of Nigeria. There's an annual program. They're always coming out. We have, last year, another one is coming this year. We had a week-long program, to educate people. We have the Nigeria Insurers Association. There's always programs, if I show you my phone, you'll see programs coming up. In fact, since NIRA came, there's been a lot of workshops for us to explain NIRA, because NIRA also contains a lot of things that Nigerians need to be aware of. There are so many compulsory insurances. Not a lot of people are just aware of the motto.
Sorry to butt in, but these workshops and the rest that you've mentioned, only industry players will attend. I'm talking about the insuring public.
Actually, it's not just we do it for the public. I know last week there was just one we did with ICANN. There was a collaboration just to explain how.
What about social media?
Professionals.
So, yes. But a lot also is being done because for the public, because we do a lot of outreach. It's maybe it's not enough. Maybe we're not there yet. But there's a lot of efforts in that direction.
Is not enough. But another thing we need to speak about is we wake up every morning. Or Ibrahim, do you want to go? Let me just quickly ask this. We wake up every morning and someone has opened an insurance company. So what are the regulations that yes, sure, that's a question I just got from a viewer. So what are the regulations that need to be put in place? Because people even open insurance for different dubious reasons. So what are some of the things that are being put in place? What are the regulations before you can even say you are opening an insurance company? Okay,
but I can tell you for free, it's not that easy to open an insurance company. But of course, it's a business, and people want to have a good atmosphere to open business. So one of the things is, of course, you submit a lot of things to the regulator, including who your directors, who your MDs or board or management will be. And this will have to be qualified people, certified insurance practitioners. And then you submit, of course, your normal business proposal to NICOM. And this, of course, is also published, in the newspapers because they want to see the names. They don't want to see that, like we used to have some people maybe having failed. And that's part of NIRA again. If, for example, individuals are held accountable for things that happen in insurance companies. Let's say, for example, myself as the head of technical, I get involved in something and it's bad and probably I lose the job. It will be very difficult for me to get another job in an insurance company because they have to file it with NICOM, and he has to approve at my level, before I can take any other job. So people are very conscious now. So all of those has to be done. NICOM must approve everything. They will verify. before they approve. So it's not that easy, and it's not and the process is not just something
it's
that
not
you
a seamless
can
process.
yes.
Yeah.
Talking about recapitalization, I know that it's not only the insurance company that is being affected, the banks are also being affected to the extent that I think we have 85 banks, which might eventually we might be seeing 25 banks at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The same thing for insurance. And historically, I'm trying to understand, because when it is done, recapitalization actually reshape industry landscapes and often trigger consolidation cycles. So looking back at that prior recapitalization waves in other financial sectors, which I mentioned, what legal precedents or policy missteps do you think Nigeria should avoid to ensure that this transition strengthens rather than fragments the insurance market?
Well, thank you for that question. So, of course, we've learned from experience, and I also mentioned a lot of things are embedded in NIRA. NIRA is not just a new legislation, really. It has brought up a lot of, it has repealed some old legislations, it has reenacted them, it has brought a lot of things together, including the experience from previous recapitalization exercises. So what we now have is such that after post-capitalization, we are going to have, yes, probably a smaller, there will be mergers, and the process will also go, as I have just mentioned, it's just like you're starting a new company. If you are merging, if you are recapitalizing and standing on your own, it still has to go through a lot of things. One of the problems in the past, and I'll mention this, is that we're doing recapitalization and they're doing your assets valuation. We saw that a lot of people brought bogus things so you see them after some years, they crumble. So, but what NICOM is doing now is to verify those. They've told us, ahead of time that this is not admissible, this is admissible. So you can't just pack everything and just give us a facade that, we are there. So they have to verify all those capital that you said.
Another issue I wanted to quickly touch on is the macroeconomic conditions, talking about inflation, currency depreciation, compounding funding challenges, shrinking underwriting capacity. Can you unpack how macroeconomic headwinds like high interest rates and weak local currency, which we've talked about for a long time, complicate the recapitalization efforts, and what are the strategic options insurers should consider in order to navigate these pressures?
Thank you. So there are a number of things that the industry is looking at. Excuse me.
Yeah,
sorry. That the industry is looking at. We are in the same space, it's the same financial space. You just mentioned banks are recapitalizing. My company, to International Energy, is going to the markets, shortly, and a lot of other people. So there are so many things that are going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So and what?
Sorry.
Excuse me.
You want to clear your throat?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So and there are so many things going on at the same time. But a lot of us, we are looking at investors. Now, what we are hoping to create, and that's the opportunity NIRA is giving us, is to create bigger companies, with capacity, and that comes with a lot of promise. And so we are seeing investors, institutional investors, we're seeing private investors, putting their money into these companies and saying, yes, we believe they can do it, like for us too. And, so a number of this, a lot of us will still go to the capital market, and to protect, just as you're saying, we don't have a situation where you just see an individual come and say, no, I'm owning this company. Even NIRA states that, it has to be diluted. There has to be a lot of other people, part of that ownership. And so we have a lot. That's why we're going to the, to the markets to sell shares and stocks. But by and large, because we operate in the Nigerian market, Forex is not majorly, except for those of us that play in the oil and gas sector, that you have to do foreign buy reinsurance and all of that. But within this space, I think with capacity that we have built, there's a lot of emphasis on retail marketing now. So we are doing an inclusive marketing to bring a lot of people on board, people that. So we are managing well in terms of funds and all of that.
But this recapitalization, would it help people get their claims? Because I know a couple of people that, they've not got, why are you smiling? They've not gotten their claims. It's true. We have to speak about it. They've not gotten their claims, up till now. But that's on the other one hand. And on the other hand, when we talk about this, it seems like a lot of insurance companies may exit or merge. And are they ready for that?
Thank you. Let me and I'm happy that you're talking about, claims, because that is what you see. Insurance is a service. So it's when the claim happens that the English will start.
Yeah.
But, it is, but really, and that's what I'm just trying to paint the picture of. When you have a bigger company, paying claims will not be a problem. That is on one side. On the other side is, I've told you what regulation is saying. If you have a claim that is over 60 days, you are in trouble. Now,
Okay.
It's not waiting. We are not even waiting till July. It's recapitalizing that is July. But if you have a claim in your books that is over 60 days, you have to explain. So a lot of us are not doing that. You can't have a claim that will be live. We call clients that your claim is what documentation you have to do so that we can pay you your claim. And that's what recapitalization is bigger
building
people,
trust.
Building trust and all of that. And then to the second question, sorry, remind me.
So I was asking, like, a lot of insurance companies may exit or merge.
We are not caught unawares. This has started since the act was signed. Everybody has been positioned. In fact, all of us, I can say that all the insurance practitioners have submitted a roadmap to the regulator that this is how we want to do it. This is how we want to raise the capital. And everybody is starting to do exactly that. So it's not catching. People will merge. We've done like 2-3 mergers in this industry.
I want to hold you to your word, because I like to do that, So with this new regulations and everything, because you speak so firmly on it, are you assuring us that, are you assuring us that we're not going to have any problems sort of this again?
So, yes, I'll give that assurance, no doubt. But, of course, there will be one or two outliers, but I'm not saying that. But it won't be the story. The story will now be you'll see prompt payment of claims. You'll see people responding. Because what we are doing is to have a more response. For example, in my company at International Energy Insurance, what we do weekly, we track all of these things weekly, even before the regulator will come up and say, this is it. We have internal checks. That's what we call self-compliance. To check all of those things, including, KYC for companies, because those are part of the things that this regulation is asking us to do. We want to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. So, and I'm assuring you that you have a better insurance industry.
I don't know if we'll have enough time for you to answer any comprehensive questions. So I'm just going to make it easy for you. What are you going to tell Nigerians about this recapitalization, and would you advise us to take advantage of insuring everything that we have, spoon?
Definitely. See, life is about risk, and that's what insurance is about, to protect you from those risks. So I would advise everybody. See, NIRA is here. We are recapitalizing. Nigerians, policyholders should be rest assured that we are going to have a very robust and resilient insurance industry where the people that have eventually scaled through, would always meet you, with their promises. You will not have all of those things that we used to have in the past. And I can even tell you for free that you need to insure a lot of things. But, let me quickly mention this. And part of NIRA also is that it has created a lot of responsibility. For every right, there's a responsibility. There's a responsibility to Nigerians, expected from Nigeria. I wanted to quickly mention the compulsory insurances we have. For example, we know about motor, everybody, but there's an occupier's liability, for example, that says that for everybody that is occupying a building, you must insure because you have guests. There's an insurance of public buildings, like your building. You should be insured because I'm a guest. I came in. You have to have that. Is there. There's an insurance for building under construction. Builders liability. In Lagos, you hear building collapse and all of that. Everybody is looking up to government. It is now compulsory. We have insurance of filling station, gas stations. And all. You
That's
let them exposed. So all of that are things that Nigerians should know. People should know that they must insure because there are penalties also for them.
Thank you so much. What a great conversation, and I love the way you ended it. A very beautiful place to live it for Nigerians to understand some of the things that they need to insure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me give you a handshake. We wish you all the best. You've given us a lot of promises, so we hope that